Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into today's video, if you could just hit that subscribe button down below, that would really help me out. But today's video is going to be a little bit of tactical analysis from yesterday's game versus AS Monaco. Now, Leeds lost 2-0 in this game, but there were promising signs. Monaco finished 6th in Ligue 1 last season, and they are a decent side in the top flight of France, so I don't think it's a massive thing to be concerned about the fact that we lost, but there are definitely some positives to take from this game, and we're mainly going to be looking at Ethan Ampadu's performance today on his debut. He was brilliant. Now, people have said, yes, he gave the ball away a few times, but I think that's just pre-season rust, but the main things and the things that I'm going to pick out in today's video are really, really promising for how Leeds United's midfield will look going forward. So let's get into it then. The first clip here we see is a counter-attack, and now this is what I talked about yesterday, no, not yesterday, in the Ampadu analysis video when he was signed. I basically said this. I've seen so many times over the last couple of seasons that a player will, in a midfield, will leave their man and it'll be the player that ends up scoring. You could see somebody like Marc Roca, who's more of a technical midfielder. His player just ghosts past him, gets all the way to goal and scores, and you watch the replay and he just runs past Roca and Roca's looking the other way. And not just to pick out Roca, but any of our midfielders. That has happened to a lot. You can see from this, though, that somebody like Ethan Ampadu is likely to track back, follow his runners and make sure he gets that tackle and make sure he gets that clearance so that he doesn't... He isn't basically at fault, and that's how it translates towards Leeds in that sense, that somebody like Ethan Ampadu is the player that would check his shoulder, would scan, would make sure that every time his runner goes, he goes with him. And this is exactly what you're about to see in this clip. So if we press play here, you'll see that Hjelde tries to put the ball forward, and if we pause it there, you actually have Ethan Ampadu in that gap there. He's already running in front of the player behind him, who is the man that he's marking, but as he's identified the fact that only Liam Cooper is back there and Hjelde is back up this end of the pitch, he's gonna have to make a run back into his own box there and make sure that nothing untoward happens. Now, he has identified that Cooper is gonna have to take this man here, and that his man is going to have to be the striker here. So when we hit play, you'll see that Cooper has to go with the outside man, and when the ball comes back into the box, Ampadu is in front of his in front of the striker and ready to make the interception. So he's going to make that run front post to try and block this ball, and as you see, when it comes in, he's perfectly there on time to redirect that one over the bar, and it's really, really a good piece of defending there from Ethan Ampadu. That's exactly what I was talking about in that clip that you've just seen. The next one, Ethan Ampadu is going to pick up the ball in midfield and he's going to have a little look up. When he identifies actually that there isn't really anybody around him within this massive space here, he can then look up and see what's ahead of him. And what he is able to do is look right over here and see that there is a chance to play this ball. Now, that is an absolutely wonderful pass for Jorginho Rutter to be in all this space in behind here. Jorginho Rutter, obviously, in this event, his touch wasn't great and he didn't manage to actually get his shot away. But the actual pass from Ethan Ampadu is what we were talking about in that video as well, about the fact that he does like to progress the ball and he does like to get the ball forward. And I wasn't expecting him to do it as much as he did in this game, so that's why it really impressed me, because based on his statistics, he doesn't do it all the time. He doesn't do it that many times in a game, but in this game, he did it a lot. And if we can expect that from him in the Championship, then that'll be really, really useful. Now, this next clip is a really, really simple one, but it's something that I think is really underrated, and it's something that our midfielders in the past just really, really haven't done. So you'll see that Ethan Ampadu there in the centre of your picture, I'll just highlight him, is there and he is wanting to receive that ball. But what he does is he checks his shoulder not once but twice before receiving the ball. So he has a little look there, and then when you play it again, let's have a look. He has a little look, and then he actually has another little look, and when he picks up the ball, he knows then for a fact that there isn't any players around him so that he can pick up the ball. He's in space and he knows he's got time to go and play that pass, and that's something that we just haven't seen from our midfielders, just having that scan. And the key part of that, you might not have been able to see it properly on that video, but what he did was he scanned twice, and that is such a big thing because football moves so fast. You check once, there's nobody there. You receive the ball a second or two after you've checked. There could easily be a person there by that time. In that time you've taken to have a scan, receive the ball, and then go, there'll be somebody there. So what he does well is he scans when he's asking for the ball, and then when he receives the ball, he scans again, and he knows then that there's nobody there, and that's really, really good from Ethan Ampadu. It sounds simple, but it's the sort of thing that I'm not... Before anybody says, I am not comparing him to Xavi or Iniesta, but what made them so good was their scanning ability. And you see De Bruyne do it now. The ball comes to him, he checks that shoulder, then he gets the ball. He already knows that there's nobody around him, or if there is, he knows what to do in that situation. So this next clip then, this is also a really simple one, but when I did the Daniel Farke Tactics Explained video, I seem to mention that one in every video now, but it is useful for this because he wants his holding midfielder to come and pick up the ball. So you see here that Ethan Ampadu gets himself in plenty of space here. You can see that there's nobody around him, and he's able to then ask for the ball off Meslier, and Meslier is able to pass it straight to him. And even though it's just a simple little move like that, he also, again, he's checked his shoulder, he's turned, and he's able to pass the ball out and go on to the next little passage of play. So it's so important that our holding midfielders drop in to receive the ball off the goalkeeper, because that is how Farke wants to play out from the back. He wants to make sure that we can receive the ball in those tight situations and still get the ball out and play through the lines and eventually get up the pitch to score at the other end. So it's really important that somebody like Ethan Ampadu has that ingrained into him to come in looking for the ball, scan, receive it, then go out the other side with the ball and pass it to a teammate, a fullback or another midfielder, whoever that may be. But it's really important that he does that, and he's doing it already. The next one, Ethan Ampadu receives the ball with his back to goal. And then when he turns, he has a little look. So he picks up the ball here. Again, he's in plenty of space there. There's loads of space around him. But he looks up and he sees Dan James over here, over the left-hand side of your picture, number 20 there. I'll just highlight that. He sees that Dan James is making a run, and he's able to play this ball right over to him like this. So if we then hit play, you look and the ball goes right through to Dan James. And then the other thing is about Dan James in this clip. Now, I saw somebody's tweeting that Dan James shouldn't be a starter, but if we actually have a striker, this is a guaranteed goal. This is a brilliant pass from Dan James. So he picks it up there, and you know on this channel we love the corridor of uncertainty thing, but it is true, and he puts that into a lovely space right in there across the goal line. And if there was a proper striker in there, you would see that being a goal, because Jorginho Ruta is here. He needs to be there, and you also have Sinistera. I think it's Sinistera, and he should be in at the back post as well. But when the ball actually comes in, let's have a look, straight across everybody and nobody there. But if you get a proper out-and-out striker, somebody like Joel Perrault in there, that's a goal every time. And people are underrating the fact that Dan James, he did that in the Manchester United game. He did it 2 or 3 times in this game as well. Those are really, really good passes and really good asset to have in the Championship. Somebody who can play balls into the box like that with that quality is really useful, and having somebody on the end of them is what we really, really lack. So the next one then, this one, again, it looks simple. He goes back and he gives the ball back to Meslier, but it's actually something else that he does here that's going to be interesting for us. So he passes the ball back to Meslier. The first time I'm going to pause it, there you go. There's Ethan Ampadu there, number 4. He's saying that Hjelde back here is the correct option. And Meslier, when he receives the ball, he's got players in front of him. So when he looks up, he might be thinking, oh my God, there's a crowd of players here. Who am I going to pass the ball to? But what he does really well, Ethan Ampadu, is he points over to Hjelde and says that's where that Meslier should play the ball. But Meslier obviously stops for a second, and then Ethan Ampadu sticks his hand out again and says, go that way, and then Meslier is able to pass the ball out. Now, Meslier, when he received that ball, had a lot of players in front of him, and it can be tempting for a goalkeeper just to hoof the ball up the pitch. But what was good about this is Ethan Ampadu, I know we sort of missed it with the pause the first time, but he pointed, and then Meslier stopped for a second and stopped the ball, and then he pointed again, said, definitely just go that way, trust me. And what he did was he passed the ball out to Hjelde, and Hjelde receives it, and he's able to take Leeds back up the pitch again, and it's really, really useful to have. So from those clips, we've seen that Ethan Ampadu does some things that we really have been lacking in the midfield. The first thing is that he scans really well. He looks over his shoulder, he checks, and he always makes sure that he's in a position to receive the ball when he does so. The other thing is his progressive passing. He likes to get the ball forward. He hits those balls over the top and accurately as well. That's the main thing, accurately. I tweeted it out yesterday. We've not had a defensive midfielder who can progress the ball like that since Calvin Phillips, and accurately as well. We've had Matt Rocker, who, yes, can play some good long passes, but he wasn't that good, really. I thought that's what he would bring to Leeds, but he didn't really in the end. I didn't see that enough from him. But I think Ethan Ampadu in the Championship is going to absolutely thrive at getting those balls forward into Dan James, into whoever else might be on the other wing. I hesitate to say Nonto or Somerville or any of those players because they might be gone. But whoever is there, Ethan Ampadu will find them, which is something you can have a bit of confidence in. And the other thing is that he tracks back really well. He'll come back and because of his time as a defender, he'll come back so well, pick up that ball, and basically he'll always be in a position to track his runner. And then the final thing as well is that he'll always be in a position to receive the ball off the goalkeeper, which is exactly what Daniel Farke wants. And it enables Leeds to play the way Daniel Farke wants to play by being able to give an option to the goalkeeper when they're playing out from the back, and it just gives him an extra man in there to win the ball, to take it out, and to progress the ball up the pitch with those progressive passes as well. So it all links together, and I think Ethan Ampadu, although it's only a pre-season friendly, has already shown some of the really, really good signs of why Daniel Farke wanted him, why he wanted him at Norwich, and why then he still wanted him at Leeds, because those attributes that he has and the things that he showed in that game. And let's not forget, like I said at the start, Monaco are a good side. Monaco will be looking to get a Champions League spot this year in Ligue 1 in France. They're a very good side, and they've got some good players in there. Ben Yedder that they brought on, and Volland, both have played at a high level in European competitions. Both are very, very good strikers and attackers in general. And they came on and won the game for them. But the fact that Ethan Ampadu was able to control the midfield like that against a team like Monaco is a really, really promising sign for me. So I think Ethan Ampadu has already shown why we've bought him. And if we can recruit like that in the future for our other players, then I think we'll be really, really good this season. But yeah, thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed this style of video, and I shall see you in the next one.